Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here. Excuse me, back here with another video. I mentioned in part one of this that I had the house to myself, but my mum and brother have come back now, so the house is not so much myself. I mean, the dog was here before, but he doesn't normally distract me as much. So anyway, hopefully they won't disturb or distract me. But so anyway, as I say, this is part two of my principles, values, ethics, morals, or whatever you want to call them. Basically, things I stand for. And hope some people out there enjoy it. And as ever, please let me know what you stand for, what you want to, whatever you want to comment in the comment section. I never delete any comments, so if they do get deleted, it's because of YouTube or whatever. But I don't believe in censorship, so I believe in like libertarianism, freedom, free speech, and things like that. So pretty much, anyway, except for if it's really extreme. Anyway, so here goes. So number 11. I'll say this continuing on from part one, but so please check that out and look out for part 3 when it comes out. I would love to support Indigenous inventors from across Australasia and what I call the 4, which I've talked about before, or even the 6 now, which I've talked about, like Australasia, Africa, the Americas, Latin America, Asia, and Ireland as well. So yeah, I'd love to support their inventors and also people with disabilities, disabled inventors, or disadvantaged communities in terms of things like inventing things, also in STEM generally and other such areas. And that sort of thing. Yeah, so I'd love to. One of my goals recently was, which I've thought about, is to provide all possible Indigenous Africans and Australasians or people of colour from Africa and Australasia, perhaps even other disadvantaged communities in Africa and Australasia, especially with a PC or laptop or mobile and even mobile phone each, or even more, and like training equipment and things like that. So yeah, that sort of thing. So hopefully I can work on that goal with like-minded people who also want to help the people who have been oppressed or who have disadvantages or a disadvantage. Anyway, moving on. Number 12, I would love to inspire, motivate, encourage, and uplift other people, and not bring other people down, and like tackle bullying or violence or hate or things like trying to get people to have sympathy and empathy for each other and encourage each other. As I said before, like not to break the law, and also to treat other people as well as we can, and that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully that will make the world a better place for all possible people, and even compassion for animals, or even more compassion for animals than people, perhaps. Number 13, again, not all. I'd say I'm no angel or whatever, so I don't want to say I'm holier than thou or anything like that. So yeah, so some of the things I stand for, obviously not everyone's going to agree with, and I'm not saying they're better than other people's or whatever, but other people's principles, but they're just what I stand for. And also, as I say, one of my biases is I'm a big fan of Italian football, even though I know it's not the most ethical. Anyway, moving on. Number 14, I'd love to solve problems facing the world, such as providing people with clean water, as much access for as many people as possible to clean water, edible food at least, if not healthy, electricity, more access for electricity for developing countries like Pakistan and India and China and Nigeria and places like that, all over Africa and Asia and places like that. And again, in Indigenous Australasian communities and other disadvantaged communities or often deprived communities, to try and help them as much as possible with those sort of things. And in the case of Africa and Australasia, to also support them in terms of tech training, as I said before. Number 15, again, I'd love to work with like-minded people like social entrepreneurs or enterprises, NGOs, charities, and that sort of thing, which whose principles I agree with and who I trust, who actually do want to make the world a better place. The difficulty is knowing who you trust or what organizations you can trust who are going to ensure that they actually do the charitable work they say they're going to do, if they say they're going to do charitable work. But yeah, I'd love to work with charities like maybe even one laptop per child, for instance. And I mean, it's a bit of a dilemma because I think there's a charity called CARE, I think it's called CARE International, and supposedly what they stand for is really good, like supporting young girls to get training and education and stuff like that. But unfortunately, a lot of abuse was done in that organisation, so it will be difficult to decide whether organization, excuse me, itself, or many of its members, or even the people who run it are trustworthy, or whether that was just a handful of and whether that was a handful of bad eggs or it was something more corrupt within the institution. So I hope to work with people who do generally want to make a change. Obviously, that's going to be a challenge to do so. But I think, as they say, two heads are better than one. So the goals I've talked about providing everyone in Africa and Australasia, every person of colour at least, or Indigenous people, at least a PC or a laptop or both, and training and stuff like that for technology. If people share that goal, clean water, healthy food, and stuff like that for as many people around the world as possible, and compassion for animals and what other principles and goals, like-minded principles or sharing the same goals, I think working with those people would be great. Obviously, knowing who I can trust, and I think by working together, excuse me, we can do a lot better. Number 16, I hope to not be arrogant enough to think that my ideas are the only valid ones or even the best, necessarily, much as I might want my ideas to be the best. So hopefully listening to other people and having an open mind, if you like. So I think having a closed mind makes you quite arrogant. So I'd love to be, I know the biblical teaching is pride comes before a fall, but I'd love to be proud in a way, but not arrogant, if that makes sense. So like believe in myself and be proud of my ideas or what I want to achieve, but not arrogant enough to, say, for instance, not believe that other people also have valid points, or to listen to other people's opinions, or to always think my opinions are fact or are facts, even if they're not proven, or that they're always right. They might be right in my mind, but it doesn't mean they are right. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I'd love to hear it from other people's ideas, and hopefully they can give me new inspirations, or by working together we can achieve hopefully a lot more. So I hope to be down to earth enough to listen to other ideas whilst having the positivity and belief in my own ideas as well. Number 17, I think it's good to be creative and think outside the box. I think that normally when people are different, we're normally mocked or put down for being different, and so it's hard to be brave enough to embrace difference and to believe that you can achieve, that your differences are valid. And so I think that's why I talk about the strengths or values of neurodiversity. That's part of it anyway, which is that people who think differently, people with dyslexia, autism, ADHD and things like that, can actually achieve a lot, in spite of the fact we might not be able to do the same things as other people. Sometimes we are weaker at some areas, but we can also be stronger in other areas. So I hope to showcase what people with autism and dyslexia can do, especially for African and Asian nations and Indigenous Australasian and Native American communities as well, and Latin America and Ireland as well. Number 18, I hope to make the world a better place and encourage other people, as I say, to do so. I think by obeying the law, having sympathy and empathy for each other, encouraging people, uplifting people, inspiring rather than tearing other people down. I think those are great ways to make the world a better place, in my opinion. And like, I try never to go onto other people's YouTube videos I don't like and write negative comments. I rather try and focus on the YouTube videos or channels that I do like if I can, and share positive comments with those, and ignore the ones perhaps I don't like a bit more. And I think people of colour supporting each other on YouTube would be excellent too. Number 19, again, I'd love to support Indigenous people from Australasia especially, and people of colour generally, and other disadvantaged groups like disabled people, physically, mentally, and learning disabled people, neurodiverse people, if you prefer, in STEM subjects, including software development. I think it'd be great to see Indigenous Australasians and Africans developing software and working together and networking together as much as possible, and also being supported in STEM generally, like science, especially like solving problems around the world for themselves and other people, and again networking with other people as well. Number 20, talk about principles, which I stand for, of course, which is what these videos are about. I know I've mentioned this before, but my least favorite saying, I think, is, or the only saying I can think of that I really don't like, is when people say, "I'm older than you," or "Excuse me, I'm older than you," or "Respect your elders," or things like that, because I think it's kind of like age discrimination, in my opinion. But I suppose people might say I'm being too rebellious, or thinking it too literally, or whatever. But I think we should respect each other, and I'd love to hear someone say why we should respect older people any more than we should respect anyone else. If someone says it's because they're wiser, I think we should hold them to a higher standard, like in terms of saying please, appreciate, thank you, and basically having good manners and politeness. I think, why don't we judge them to a higher standard rather than actually a lower standard? And I think they should be leading by example and treating other people how they wish to be treated, and things like that, and leading by example in doing so, as well as having politeness and good manners generally. And I think, in my opinion, saying I'm older than you or respect your elders or things like that makes older people a bit lazy and hypocritical, in my opinion, or very lazy and hypocritical. I think it becomes too tempting to sit down and say, "Bring this for me" or "Do that for me," rather than using your feet and using your hands whilst you have them, and making the most use of them when you can. And if people are honest with themselves, I think they would probably say, I could actually walk to the kitchen or get these things myself or do these things myself, but I choose to get younger people to do it, and which I think is a negative thing about culture. But that's my opinion as a bit of a rebellious person. I'm not a big fan of culture or tradition. I think that's like, it lives in the past. So I think creativity looks towards the future. But that, again, these are all my opinions. So I'd love to hear what you think. This mad guy here, I'd love to hear what you think about this mad guy here's opinions, talking about myself in the third person as well. And I'm out. Peace and love.